Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Taft City Council Successor Agency Joint Regularly Scheduled Meeting for Tuesday, September the 1st, 2020. Pursuant to the Governor's Executive Order N-2920, Taft City Council meetings will be held in the following manner, temporarily still. First, in order to protect our constituents, city officials, and city staff, all public meetings until further notice will be held closed to the public. City Council meetings will be live streamed in real time to our YouTube channel by searching for City of Taft City Clerk on YouTube or at this link, www.youtube.com/user/City of Taft. Secondly, public comments for City Council meetings will be accepted in the following manner. Public comments will be accepted up until 5 p.m. the day of the meeting. Written comments may be dropped off in the drop box in front of City Hall. Comments may be emailed to the city clerk at ymayfield@cityoftaft.org. Made by phone to the city clerk's office at 661-763-1222. And finally, the comments received will be read into the record. Finally, should a member of the public prefer to speak during the live portion of the meetings, they shall contact the city clerk prior to the time listed above and provide a contact phone number, be available during the meeting times of 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. They will be contacted at that phone number provided and placed on the speaker to address the council during the meeting time. We're going to start this evening's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and that's going to be led by Councilman Evelyn, thank you very much, followed by the invocation by Councilman Bryant. If you would join us all, please.
Stand. Salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You all would please bow with me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to meet here tonight. We invite you into this place. We invite your divine providence and your guidance for all of us here who are making decisions on behalf of the people of the city of Taft and the West Side. We pray for your hand to be upon us as we make the decisions. We pray for your hand to be upon our law enforcement and all those in uniform on our behalf, whether they be local, state, national, or even abroad. We ask for you to comfort them in their service to us all. Let them know that we're thankful for them. We appreciate their service, and we look forward to them keeping the peace. We ask for your hand to be upon our country, especially upon those at the higher levels of government as they make decisions that guide us into the future. And we ask all this in your most precious and holy name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Thank you very much, sir. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Norr,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cryer,
Here.
Councilmember Bryant,
Here.
Councilmember Evelyn,
Here.
and Councilmember Whiting is absent with notice.
All right, thank you very much. First item on the agenda this evening is citizen request public comments. Comments are to be received as stated in the above policy. For the record, we have received no comments from the public in any of those manners. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you very much. Second up, council statements, non-action. Councilman Evelyn, we'll begin this evening with you, sir.
Because I have a feeling of where the other councilmen are going to be commenting tonight, I will refrain.
All right, thanks, sir. Councilman Bryant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Evelyn. I appreciate that. You know, much of the rhetoric that we hear on the TV and through the media today is touting fear. Regardless of which side you sit on, it's all about fear. And unfortunately, we cling to that. We run with it, right? And we like our hair's on fire. If we'd simply take the time to look and to read and to understand and to ask questions, we might not act in such a knee-jerk fashion. I think we'd all agree with that. I think we'd also agree that we'd have a lot more folks on the right side of the political spectrum, if not just in the center. But that's a topic for another day. You know, since we're here talking fear, I do have a confession, and I can sit here today and say that I am fearful. I am scared for where we're headed as a country. And I say that not lightly. You know, it feels like we're often in the twilight zone, and I know I talked a little bit about hyperbole, but that's the truth. We look around today, and I'm amazed at the things we see that are realities today that we would have thought we were bananas just years ago. I had a friend yesterday who posted something on Facebook, and at first it made me giggle, and then it made me cringe, not only at the immediate thought, but of the future potential. Talked about walking his dog around the streets of Bakersfield. And as he walked his dog, there's signs. We see him at the beach all the time. Doggy bags, pick up after your dog. When the dog goes number 2, pick up after him. He goes, how many times did I walk past human excrement on the sidewalk? And it made me think, how far-fetched is it to think we've got signs just waiting to come down and be hung on our city streets of a human squatting on the sidewalk? Don't forget to pick up after your local bum. And how sad is that? I'm not talking about the folks who are downtrodden and legitimately on their last leg. I'm talking about the pukes and despicable excuses for human beings that will do that on the sidewalk without care of who or what they might encounter, whose property it is, or who they're damaging, whether it's a public sidewalk, a public bathroom, and whatnot. But again, that seemed far-fetched not that long ago, but it's happening. We're living in it today. Have you ever heard of the phrase that chivalry is dead? We've heard it, right? I have an even better one for today. I think that civility and civil discourse is dead. I have a feeling that mutual respect, by and large, is dead. And I think that critical thinking is on life support. And I don't say that lightly. It had been replaced by name-calling, been replaced by obscene-laden, sometimes factually baseless tirades, those same people taking their balls and going home after they get it off their chest because they've been offended. And it's just that rhetoric that we eat up, and regardless of where it came from or whether it's true, we spew it back. We regurgitate it, especially on social media. I've been an unabashed advocate, I guess, for social media, even though I do understand it's got its gifts and curses. But critical thinking, I think, has fallen by the wayside, and it's given way to simply having an opinion and being first to have that opinion and to post it on social media. Much like the papers of today or even yesterday, they wanted to rush to get their headline, right? They wanted to be the most salacious. They wanted to be the one that got the most attention, the most buys. Facebook, our social media, is now our new personal newspaper, newsstand, our soapbox. Facts or deep thought be damned, right? So social media has helped with the fast spread of information, of course, but it's also helped, unfortunately, with the fast spread of, the lack of the fast spread of facts. And it's left us on the receiving end and shortchanged because we often take what we get there, and again, we regurgitate it. We want to share it, we want to agree with it without giving it any further thought. And it's leading us, in my opinion, into some very dark times in our country and as a society. We're in the middle of a global health crisis, whatever you want to call it, and whether you want to say that it's being played up, played down, overblown, undersold, we should make that decision individually. We shouldn't be dictated as to how we should perceive that. If we want to look at the facts like we should, make our own opinions, that's the way we should live our lives, and we should move forward, but we don't, unfortunately. Oftentimes we're spoon-fed what those in a apparent majority might want us to think, and that's disheartening. It gives me a lot of fear for what's ahead of us in the future. We've got our government officials using pandemic powers to make the legislative process, they're railroading us as citizens of this country, as this state, and as this county, or whatever you want to say it. Sacramento's a perfect example. And look at last night. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second. You've got a government official who we're told we can't go get our hair done, can't get our nails done, but we've got a Speaker of the House that will walk into a nail salon in San Francisco and say, do as I say, not as I do. You've got a mayor in one of the most murderous cities in the state or in the country telling us we don't need guns, the police will protect us. But that same person says, you know what, you don't need guns, I do, because I'm privileged, I need to be protected. It's just being shoved down our throats, and we are willingly taking it, and that bothers me because it makes me feel like we're sheep, for lack of a better term, being led to slaughter. You've got a Senate in Sacramento last night who the majority will basically ostracize and say, you can't debate. And they limit it. They use technology to say you can't debate. And it's unfortunate because then they're using those powers to shove laws that we all generally do not agree with down our throat. And just like Senator Melendrez said yesterday, it's bullshit. It's ridiculous. It's unacceptable. And we should have more. We should demand more. If this tells me anything, we have to pay attention, all of us. We have to stand up in the face of mounting and growing sentiment to the contrary. They love to spoon feed us, and so it's up to us to not be spoon fed. It's up to us to do the dirty work. That's, to be honest with you, much more simpler today than it was even before because of the access of information. Unfortunately, you have to personally weed out what is correct and what's not, in your humble opinion. We have to stand up and demand responsibility in government, responsibility in the dissemination of information, and absolute transparency, personal responsibility, and in being convicted yet civil. We have to be resolute but respectful. And I'm passionate. We have to be passionate, but we also have to be thorough. We owe it to each other, we owe it to our future, and our government and our government representatives owe it to us included. Long story short, I just ask that folks don't simply take things at face value. Just because I say it doesn't mean it's true. Validate it. Ask questions. Trust but verify. That's okay. I encourage folks to do that, whether it's here in the city of Taft, at the county of Kern, state of California, or on up to the highest levels of government. That's on us. Otherwise, we get what we deserve. Demand accountability at all levels. And Taft, in my opinion, is one of these shining examples of how government should be. A fantastic government of the people, by the people, and for the people. A transparent government that does work on behalf of their citizens by listening, acting in a responsible manner, and moving forward in the best interest of everybody. And I'm very proud of that. I'm proud to be a part of it. But I think I'm just an innocent bystander by and large, because we have a great group as a government entity and an even better group as a governmental administration. I think we're far from perfect, obviously, but we're not unwilling to listen. We also are willing to evolve, but I think I'm very proud that we're convicted in our values, and we have the resolve not to be corrupted in the way that many of our sister cities across the state and across the country have done. And to be honest with you, it's up to us to keep that, and not just the people here on this dais, everybody who happens to hear this today, especially the people who live in the city of Taft, because it doesn't just stay here. That level of accountability in government at the local level trickles up. And so I would just encourage folks to do your part, to speak peacefully but with conviction, to act responsibly but with purpose, and to think freely, but most importantly, be informed. It trickles up, just like I said, but it starts with us. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Great deal of information, and I thank you for spending all the time relaying that information.
Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
You bet. Mayor Pro Tem Cryer.
Thank you, Mayor. And Councilman Josh Bryant, you hit on a button.
Thank you.
We had to say. Appreciate it. Like Josh said, there's a lot of things happening in California. A lot of things that's coming from Sacramento, imposing mandates, new laws, regulations and stuff that is hurting us as citizens, and also in businesses and stuff as our lifeblood to keep for livelihood. But we need to act on them. We have an election coming up as far as propositions coming up, and one of them that could hurt our businesses is Prop 15. I encourage people to read the Prop 15 and make an informed decision on it. But Prop 15 is going to put taxes on the property of businesses and businesses and industries and stuff that higher costs to pay taxes on there, and that's going to drive a lot more businesses out of California, or they'll have to somehow the people themselves have to pay for the product that they produce. And I look at it as a start. Once that passes, you're going to see property taxes for our home, our residences. You're going to see that come up in a year or two after that passes. But they always use a cliche, it's for the children, it's for the school, or in this case here too, is for help out the cities. Read it and make an informed decision. I know how I'm going to vote, but make an informed decision. Read all the props in there, because they sneak things through, they sugarcoat it, and they make it say, oh, it's a clean air. It has to be good. We all like clean air, but they don't know what's all involved in that clean air when they pass that the voters passed last time. And we're paying for it right now, and the air is not any different. But anyway, another thing too is our businesses here in Taft, we're all suffering here. We need to help out our businesses, go to them, patronize them, give them suggestions they can do. They're trying their best to stay afloat. They're trying to follow all most of them are following all the rules and regs and stuff and trying to survive, and some are doing other things because they had no other choice. They're going to lose it because we all have mortgages on those buildings. You got to pay the mortgages. You still got to pay the licenses and insurance and on those buildings. That don't stop. We need to support our town because we're going to lose some of our businesses. I already know some are about ready to close down or is closing down because of this, what's happening from our governor doing. And this deal is that they pass. You can't go to church, but yet you can get marijuana. You can go protest. You can do all that crap, but you can't go to funerals. You can't go to churches and other things that we're prohibited from doing it. And to me, it strikes that our morality has changed here in our state. What was good in the past is bad now. What was bad in the past is good now. That's the opposite traded on there, and it's scary because the longer this thing goes through, a lot longer than I have, it's going to continue that way. But we need to get some normalcy back in our civilization here in our state. But that's one of the concerns I have on here, because I'm worried about our city with all the things happening, and it's sickening. But that's all I have to say, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. So many things on the minds of people these days. I believe, and Councilman Bryant talked about that, one of the key components when you think about the fact that I read right here, and it says, for the time being, public meetings will not be held in public. I feel somewhat foolish reading that every time I read it, but I have to read it for the record. It's very difficult to represent people and to tell them that transparency in government is a critical component of what you do as a representative, and to have to read that. Speaking of transparency in government, and speaking of the California Senate, I'm going to share some language with you that was included in an emergency COVID relief bill. All right, I will let you be the judge of this language. I am simply going to share it with you. This language was inserted into this emergency COVID relief bill by a Democratic senator. And here is that language. Provides that the definition of sexual assault for purposes of the laws relating to the Child Abuse and Neglect Reporting Act does not include voluntary oral sex, sodomy, or sexual penetration by foreign object, unless the conduct is between a person 21 years of age or older and a minor who is under 16 years of age. Is designed to provide that non-forcible oral sex, sexual penetration by foreign object, and sodomy are not reportable crimes for mandated reporters unless it involves a person over 21 and a minor under 16, even though these acts would continue to be chargeable as a felony or a misdemeanor. That language is included in emergency COVID relief bill on the Senate floor. So when we talk about transparency in government and the faith that we put in our elected officials to focus on the task at hand and to focus on the suffering of the people and the emergence of an economy so that we can work our way out of this, that is what you get. Here again, I'll let you be the judge of just exactly what you think of that language and the fact that somebody who is elected by the people is being paid to do that today in Sacramento. Okay, lastly, I want to thank Yvette, and gotta believe Renee's been up here, old school. Looks to me like fall is falling. Is that correct? All right. Thanksgiving, one of my favorites, is coming. I know that one's a couple of ways down the road, so I'll look forward to that. But fall colors are here. After all, dove season started today. So here we are. All right, and that is all I have for this evening. Next up, City Manager's statement. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no statement tonight.
No statements. Thank you, sir. Next up, City Attorney statements.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No statement.
All right, thanks, sir. Gentlemen, future agenda requests this evening.
None here.
None? All right, then. We'll continue to move on. Therefore, we arrive at the consent calendar items 6 through 12. All items listed on the consent calendar shall be considered routine and will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the City Council requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Any item removed from the consent calendar will be considered after the regular business items. And then it goes on to say, are there any items on the consent calendar that any member of the public would like to comment on? Did we receive any requests for this? For the record, thank you very much. Those items are item number 6, the minutes for the August 12, 2020 special meeting and the August 18th, 2020 regular meeting. payment of bills, a chunk of about $800,000 worth of bills. Item number 8, approval of application to the State of California Department of Parks and Recreation Office of Grants for per capita grant program. Recommendation is a motion to adopt a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the City Council of City of Taft approving applications for per capita grant funds through the State of California Department of Parks and Recreation Office of Grants and Local Services." Item number 9, policy for the use of electronic devices issued to elected and/or appointed officials and key city staff. Recommendation is a motion to adopt a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft adopting a policy for use of electronic devices issued to elected and/or appointed officials and key city staff." Item number 10, approval of franchise agreement with West Side Waste Management Incorporated. The recommendation is a motion to adopt a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft approving solid waste franchise agreement with West Side Waste Management Company Incorporated." Item number 11, adoption of the City of Taft Title VI program update for Taft area transit. Recommendation is a motion to adopt a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft of Kern County authorizing the Title VI program update for the Taft area transit system." Item 12 is the purchase of new servers to allow offering contactless employee management, eliminate exchange of paper, and support needed security for technological upgrades. The recommendation is a motion to adopt a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft approving purchase of new servers to allow offering contactless employee management, eliminate exchange of paper, and support needed security for technological upgrades required to work remotely, and to make findings that the expense is directly related to COVID-19, not provided in the city's current budget, and therefore qualifies as a CARES Act fund expense." Does any council member wish to remove any of these items from the consent calendar?
Let's do 10.
Sorry? Item number 10,
10.
sir.
Mr. Mayor, I won't remove it, but I'd like to abstain from the August 18 minutes when we vote on those.
Okay, very good.
Same with, for the abstention on the 12th and 18th.
All right, as noted by the city clerk. If that's all, at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve consent calendar items 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12. That would be it. 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, and 12.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Pryor,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Councilmember Evelyn,
Yes.
Councilmember Whiting,
Yes.
and Mayor Nor.
Yes. Thank you very much. Next up, item number 10, approval of franchise agreement with West Side Waste Incorporated. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. The City of Taft and HF&H Consultants worked with Westside Waste Management to draft and negotiate a new solid waste franchise agreement that will meet the requirements of SB 1383. This new agreement provides the programs, education, outreach, monitoring, record-keeping, and reporting for the new recycling and organics programs and services that will be provided to the customers. These services and administrative work is required by SB 1383. The new services are anticipated to commence January 1st, 2022. The required SB 1383 implementation date. The new agreement term is 10 years, which provides time for the company to depreciate its useful life of new trucks, containers they will have to purchase to implement the new service. Due to the significant expansion in services required for businesses and complexity of the billing for those services on the property tax rules. The city will transition responsibility for billing commercial customers to the contractor. Contractor's monthly compensation will be increased by $10,000 per month upon city's direction to implement the three-stream recycling organics program. Contractor's monthly compensation will be adjusted annually by the CPI through the term of the agreement. Other business and risk management terms of the franchise agreement have been modernized to conform with customary practices in the solid waste industry. The cost increase in this agreement is reflective of the services increases required by state law.
All right, at this time, I would entertain a motion to adopt a resolution entitled, A resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft approving solid waste franchise agreement with Westside Waste Management Company, Inc.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mayor Pro Tem Cryer, you asked that this be removed from the consent calendar.
Thank you, Mayor. Reason why I pulled this on this SB 1383, that it's going to hurt everybody as far as cost goes, as far new trash coming out here, especially the people who are on fixed income and everything. But it's not our fault as a city. It's not Kern County. It's not Wayside Waste Management. Believe me, I work with Bob Hampton on another board discussing this a lot. And they're doing all they can to make it cheap as possible for the taxpayers on all the equipment. They're working really hard not to impact our city and stuff, but it's going to impact our city. I just want to bring this out that it's not, if you're going to blame somebody, blame the state. They're the one that bought out and voted for it, and we have to suffer the consequences. And yes, it won't take effect until January 1st, 22, but it's going to start out small. It'll be, you're going to even notice it probably on your taxes. Wait till the third year come, and the fourth year, and the fifth year, as it rises and stuff. It's going to really impact it. You're going to really see it, and you're going to ask questions. Why didn't we know about this before? Well, at 1 year, people probably forget about it. But we thought, let you know that yes, we're going to vote for it, and I know the outcome's going to be because is that I just want to warn everybody that it's not us wanting to do it, but it's mandated by the state. And you're going to have a garbage police out there too, checking, making sure we're all in compliance. And yes, individual homeowners, first they'll get warnings and stuff, but at some point, you're going to be fined for not doing your trash properly, separating it on your property. And if we don't do it and monitor it, the state will come in and do it for us. So I'd rather that we do it among ourselves than have the state come in and dictate to us. So that's all I have to say, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Councilman Bryant, you had the second on this?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It may have been Mr. White, but either way, getting back to things being far-fetched, I mean, how crazy is it that you can have somebody outside can leave trash, just walk by and litter and do all kinds of other things, disgusting things, and go about their day and it be smiled upon by those up on high in Sacramento. But you can put your non-recyclables in your recyclable container and we're going to get a ticket. How far-fetched is this? It's not that far-fetched. It's inbound, 2 years. And again, just like Councilman Cryer has said, it's not because we want it here, it's because it's being forced down our throats. How much more are we going to accept, folks? That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the folks out there, I think myself and the mayor sat on this committee for the wastewater treatment plant and for the SB, for the trash recycling program mandated by the state. And we knew that because of what's going on right now with COVID-19, now is not the time to raise everybody's prices. So we delayed the first year and then spread it out evenly over the remaining 4 years. That's correct?
That is correct.
That way that everybody knows what's coming. It's not going to be, we're trying to give them a break for the first year because we know it's going to be hard on everybody right now. But as Councilman Cryer, or Mayor Pro Tem Cryer has stated, it's not our fault. It's not the city's fault. It's not the wastewater treatment plant fault or the Westside Waste Management fault. It's the state for their short-sightedness in doing this. So we've done what we can do, and that's the best we can do to delay some of that. So the folks know we were thinking of you.
Councilman Evelyn.
Much like it's been said, I would like to repeat, the one thing I would like to say is that I'm assuming we're going to be unanimous on voting on this, and the reasoning behind it is we can't produce this and do this and provide this service as a city without a whole lot more money being involved in it initially. So that's the reason that we're pulling in Westside, that they're able to fulfill the contract. And like I think we talked about in a previous meeting, they'll be responsible for providing, magic trash cans and things that are going to come out of some magic place, some unfunded mandate area of California, I'm assuming, where oil isn't as bad as it is here, I guess, when you're producing things like, cans to recycle stuff in. Again, like everybody else has stated, this has very little to do with the city of Taft, other than to make yet another attempt to mitigate something that's come down from Sacramento. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. I think it's also very important everybody understand that even though SB 1383 predisposed COVID and the economic disaster that has been created by COVID, after COVID came along, through our Senate representative, Senator Grove, we asked Sacramento to reconsider the timeline and think about the people, think about the shock to the economy, and perhaps push this back 2 years. Give the economy, give municipalities, give people, give households an opportunity to recover from the economic hardship that this is presenting and is going to continue for some time. And in spite of the fact that it truly is a consideration that should have been made, the request was made and it fell on deaf ears. So Sacramento just completely ignored the fact that it is going to have a negative effect on household incomes, especially people who are on a fixed income, people who are retired, and the poor. They always seem to try to indicate that they're the champions of the poor, and yet they continue to pass more and more and more regulations that make it even more difficult for that very group of people. So there's one of the great ironies. I'm curious, the different containers, we'll have 3 different containers now, is that not correct?
That is correct.
What are they made out of?
It's plastic.
Plastic. A petrochemical product. Is that correct?
I believe so.
And I'm sure it's made out of plastic because that is the best, safest, most cost-effective, durable material that one could make these out of.
Oil that's been fracked.
Well, thank heaven for oil and gas, huh? All right, I thank you very much for that. I had a funny feeling that was going to be the answer to that question. Okay. Any more discussion then on this matter, gentlemen? Everybody out there, we are doing everything in our power to mitigate the cost increases. The people at Westside Waste working very hard with us to also mitigate the cost, and still we need to comply. If we do not comply, the costs will get astronomical. And we begged Sacramento to push this back, and once again, that fell on deaf ears. So we will continue to do everything we can, thinking of the people that we represent. So at this time, I have a motion and a second. No more discussion. May we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Pryor.
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant.
Yes.
Councilmember Evelyn.
Yes.
Councilmember Whiting.
Yes.
And Mayor Nor.
Yes, that passed on a 5-0 vote. We want to say thank you to Westside Waste for negotiating in good faith, and a great big thanks for nothing to you folks in Sacramento.
Amen.
All right. I do believe then that brings us to the end of our open session. This council will go into closed session for 2 items. Conference with labor negotiator Craig Jones, city manager, Government Code Section 54957.6, all units. Item B, threat to public services, consultation regarding COVID-19 impacts to public facilities and services, Government Code Section 54957. I want to thank you all for being a part of this evening's meeting. It will get better. Help your neighbor. God bless. This meeting is adjourned.